Hello, my furniture refinishing friends. This is Shannon with Black Sheep House. In today's video, I'm going to be making over this dresser, turning it into a coastal wood look that I think you guys are really going to like. I've never done this on the channel before, and so it's going to be fun to do. I'm going to get this thing cleaned up first. It's not solid wood, so don't come at me for the painting, but it is a nice dresser and it's a good shape for what I'm going for. And I think you guys are going to love the outcome, so stick around. I'm debating on whether or not to save and use that hardware. We'll see in the end. This is a cute little hack I have been doing lately, and it's using a razor, and then I switched over to this premium wood filler, and I do really like it. It is worth the extra money. It's not as gritty, it's much smoother, and so I find that I have to sand less. I just go right in with a high grit sandpaper, and I have to fill fewer times. Has earned its keep around here. It definitely has helped me pay the rent many times. Speaking of paying the rent, my little helper bring me a drink. It's always nice when you're working hard. And I just ordered it off Amazon, measured it to see which one I needed, and it's very straightforward to install. You can add a little bit of wood glue if you want to give it some extra security, and it comes with the screws. Be careful. You can see me checking here to make sure I'm not drilling all the way through, so you want a shorter screw if your drawer is very thin. Mine just barely made it. I got lucky on this one. Probably needed a smaller screw. And it's all sanded and ready to go. I told you guys I was feeling a little creative. I'm going to just use up some of this old paint I have laying around. This is all really good stuff. It's not, crap paint by any means. We got some Advanced, we got some Command, some PPG. All of these are either a semi-gloss or a gloss or a satin. Something with a little bit of sheen to it is what you're going for. And all of these paints are really good with adhesion, especially since I sanded and cleaned it thoroughly. I've done scratch tests on these paints on my kitchen table. I have a whole section of my kitchen table that I use exclusively for scratch tests and testing out different paints and stuff. One day I'll show you guys that. These are all neutral colors. You can see I really like this one. I've been using it a lot for the Pottery Barn finishes. It's a nice neutral beige tone that doesn't lean too yellow or too pink. But you can see I've got some yellow, I've got some pink, and then neutral. 3 different colors. You could do as many colors as you want. I'm going with 3. And then I'm going to apply this like a bit like a calico. Maybe we can call this the calico finish. I'm not being shy with the paint. I don't mind the brush strokes because of the texture that we're going to be adding with the graining tool and doing the faux wood look on this. I don't mind texture at all, but do go in the direction that you imagine they would. I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. I have been wanting to dabble in interior design to level up that area of my furniture flipping business, and with their learning pathways, they've made it easier than ever for me to log on and develop my skills. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. I also love the self-improvement section. That's a big hobby of mine, as well as all the creative options that there are, from modern calligraphy to learning how to paint winter greenery. everything that you could think of is on Skillshare. You will be blown away by the options that you have at your fingertips for learning. And the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Going into the second color that I chose, which is the pinker one. It is the Rugged Tan color, and then I'm going to go in with my third color. You'll see last. As I'm going here, I started switching to just go from one color to the next and finish up one section of the dresser and then move on to the next, instead of going all the way around the dresser with the first tan and then going in with the second one and then the third one. That's just how I did it. You could do it however you want to. And I hope that I inspire you guys to try things, because you can see I am winging it here. Like, I am so winging it. I'm trying something different. I kind of had a vague idea in my head of what I wanted to try to create. This is just experimentation, and I hope that I inspire you guys to play around, to try different things, try different products, try different tools, and use your imagination and see what happens. I love that part of this job. It makes it so much fun, and this hobby, it just makes it that much more fulfilling when you try something out and it turns out to be the coolest thing you have ever done. And sometimes it doesn't, and it's a big fat flop, and I don't share those videos. This one, I was really inspired by this dresser here. I'll show a picture. And as I was looking at it, I realized it had a lot of different undertones, pinks, yellows, and more neutrals. And so that's what I'm going for with this calico creation here. Now I'm going to create my own custom little glaze situation here that we're going to be using with the graining tool and stuff. So I'm using oil modified polyurethane by Minwax, and I'm using some Benjamin Moore Command. You could use Benjamin Moore Advanced or any oil modified paint, because those dry slower, so I really like that. But it's soap and water cleanup, and I know those are all the rage now. Lots of people love them, and I love them as well, especially for this type of technique where we're going to be creating the wood grain. So this is a ratio of 2 parts of the oil modified polyurethane and 1 part of my white paint. This is a custom mix paint. I don't even remember what I had them match, color match, whatever white you would like. The oil modified polyurethane that I'm using here has a yellow tint to it as well that's like just built into it to give it that authentic polyurethane look. But for us and for this video, it's just going to add a little bit more of a yellow tone to whatever you're mixing it with. And so keep that in mind if you don't, want that. But I don't mind a creamy yellow for this top coat that we're going to be going in and creating the faux wood look with. I have my wood graining tools all laid out and a damp washcloth, and I've been using a trash bag as my like tray or workstation, usually setting it on a chair or on the ground next to me where I'm working. And then I've been loving these little brushes. You can get them at Michael's, you can get them online, other places. They're very soft, so they give you what the deck staining brush would do. But if you don't have one of these brushes, use a deck staining brush. That will work great, or any kind of fluffy, really soft paintbrush. And then I'm going in with the graining tool, creating that grain look that you see here. Isn't that cool, right? You can see the colors underneath it already. They look different, right? Then I went in with the dog grooming tool, the rubber dog grooming tool you guys see me use all the time on this channel, and then going in with just a little dollar store broom to give it the striations of that wood grain. And I'm feeling pretty happy with how this is turning out. Gonna be patient and wait for the whole vision to come to life, of course, but I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. I do the sides and the lip of the drawer last after I do the front. Pretty much do the same thing. I didn't do the rubber dog grooming tool on the lip of the dresser drawers because, it matters less to me at least. And I felt like it would take off too much of the white. But I'm feeling pretty good about this. Little details like this, when you add it on the sides of the drawers, it makes a big difference when you go to sell the piece, or if you're owning the piece, it just feels more high end. It feels finished. I do keep the drawers in most of the time, and then I'll do all the drawers, and then I'll take them out after they've dried, and then do the base of the dresser if I can't get in between easily. Also wanted to mention, if you tend to need a little bit more open work time, or you are in a dry climate, you can add some General Finishes extender or Floetrol, or whatever your country's equivalent is to basically a paint extender. You can just add a couple of squirts into your mixture. And I did go back and look at that inspiration picture a couple of times to see, how much wood grain was showing up, like per drawer, or, for on the top and stuff. And ideally, I'd like a bigger wood graining tool, something like that makes a bigger. It does tend to fill up with product, and so you can clean it out with a brush. I'm using the washcloth. That's not working very well, actually. I always leave the edges to last because they're the smallest section. If I have to repaint and redo like a strip right there, that's much easier than trying to redo the top. So I spend all my effort on the top, and I try not to let drips and stuff like that happen, but I don't mess with the edges until the top, that big section or the front of the drawer, whatever big section I'm working on is done, and then I'll go through and do the sections. On this dresser, I decided to, and more lately, I've been trying to go the direction that the manufacturer has the wood placed. A lot of times I've done sideways with the Pottery Barn stuff, and that's because it's easier for the brushing and the buildup and all that, and I'm sure if you've done it, you've been there before. But also, in this particular dresser, there is an indent, right? Like it kind of like goes in, it's curved, and so the wood grain tool doesn't like fit in there. But I found that using the dog grooming tool in those sections and just kind of pushing a little harder, maybe using the side a little bit of it to create like the grain texture works really well. It fits right in those little nooks and crannies. And if you've got a piece that's really detailed, just brush right over top of it. Obviously, you can't do like a wood graining tool on detailed areas, and so that's where the dog grooming brush will come in handy, and the broom, of course. Okay, let's take a look at the inspiration. Very beautiful. Here was what we had to work with. And let's take a look at the after. Ta-da! I love it. I think it turned out so good, and it was so fun to do. And it sold really quickly for me, I will tell you, and just as much as I sell all my other stuff for, so that was great as well. I feel like it's very high-end. It could go in a coastal environment, something more elegant, traditional. Even if you're that McGee & Co style, I feel like it would fit in that style as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!